Hey there, and welcome back to the Mini Weekend. I'm your host, Jack. Let's get into it, Mini. All right, drink of the podcast. Tonight we went with Olipop's cream soda. This honestly was another one of Olipop's flavors that I was shocked that I haven't tried this yet. I think I got confused because we did Poppy's cream soda a while back, and not theirs, but going to Target so much, I see these all the time, and I just assumed I would have grabbed one and tried it already. So yeah, pretty good. I like it. For those that maybe don't remember, I've never really been much of a cream soda lover. I always gravitated towards the root beers or the root beer floats, or just like your normal colas or Pepsis or stuff like that. But this isn't too bad. I think I kind of like this one because it does taste a little more like syrupy. It almost tastes like more of a root beer than your typical cream soda. But I like it. It says, better than spooning fluffy, sweet marshmallow cream straight out of the jar. Our cream soda blends irresistible, decadent, natural vanilla flavors with premium pure vanilla extract for a sumptuous, smooth soda you'll savor. And actually, now that I read that, it is very smooth. That is something I like about this one. But I like it. For those that don't know, Olipop is a prebiotic soda, and they kind of are branding themselves as like a healthier alternative to soda. In fact, I'll just read to you. This is on every single one of their cans. Olipop combines the classic soda you know and love with prebiotics, plant fiber, and botanicals to support your microbiome and digestive health. Finally, a refreshing soda that's actually good for you. And I'm just going to remind you that those of you that have been here before, I remind you guys every single time I do an Olipop or a Poppy, because they have fiber and prebiotics. I learned the hard way. You should not be having more than one, maybe two of these max a day. The only time I would ever recommend even having more than like two instead of one is if you are having one maybe like in the late morning and then like one at night or something like that. I wouldn't probably do them back to back. But again, take it from somebody who learned the hard way. So yeah, I personally love them. They taste, in my opinion, just as good as some of these sodas out there, and they're just not as syrupy. They're not as sugary and making you kind of feel like crap within the hour after you finish them. So go check them out. It's drinkolipop.com, and you can find them on Instagram, Facebook, X, LinkedIn, Pinterest, and Twitter as well. So go check them out. I love them. I think we have quite a bit of flavors. I want to say we're on like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 7 or 8. So working our way up nonetheless. But I do like this one. I'll go ahead and give it a 7-8. 7-8. Like I said, I don't drink them a ton. If I'm being completely honest with you guys, with not having tried every single flavor, some of these flavors that I've tried before, I just really like night and day a lot more, and I probably gravitate towards them before I got it. I wouldn't go out of my way not to get this one. So 7-8, go check it out. Let me know what you guys think. Go from there. Once again, I do apologize about last night. Literally was getting everything going. Was getting on here, starting the whole ordeal, and let's just say I got sick. Feel great. Feel better than ever right now. So we're back at it. Done with that. So with that, we don't have, honestly, this is going to be a relatively shorter podcast for you guys tonight. We don't have a ton to talk about, kind of with Tommy Town and a lot of the college sports outside of college football being off for the extended holiday break here. But do have one question tonight that we will also get to. So with that, let's just kind of jump right into it. So for Tommy Town, again, like I said, not a ton to go off of. The men's hockey team, there's no new news. They'll be back in action on December 20th for one last game of the 2024 calendar year against the St. Cloud State Huskies. And we'll look to kind of get things moving in the right direction, like we mentioned last week. They're currently sitting in 8th place in the CCHA standings with a 4-9-4 overall record and a 3-6-3 conference record. So hoping to pull that around in 2025 to kind of get going for the CCHA playoffs. And then for the women's team, same kind of thing for them. Like I mentioned earlier, they are already on their holiday break, however, and won't be in action until after the first of the year on January 4th for an exhibition game in St. Louis Park, just like the men's team with the St. Cloud State Huskies. And then after that, they will be getting underway back into WCHA play against the crosstown rivals, University of Minnesota Golden Gophers on the 10th. This time they'll be playing at Ritter Arena at 6 p.m. on Friday the 10th and 2 p.m. on Saturday the 11th. So that's what we got for the hockey teams. We did have a little bit of news for you guys for the men's basketball team. They were in action twice this last week and won both games. Back on Friday the 13th, the Western Michigan Broncos came to town, and the Tommies won 77-71, ignited by a career high from senior Ben Now coming off the bench. And on Sunday the 15th, they hosted Crown College and won by a score of 100-61, in large part due to a 53-point first half. In Friday night's game, Ben Now had a career high 22 points off the bench, like I said, shooting 6 of 8 from 3-point range and tacking on 4 assists and a rebound in the game. Really what you love to see in that one. The starters in that game really kind of got the things going, and they were able to get a little bit of production from Ben Now, Ben Oosterbaan, and a couple of those other players, which was nice. And then a couple nights later, on Sunday against Crown College, it was the Tommies bench that really, really came alive in that game. And I think this was a good sight for a coach like John Tower, knowing that, okay, maybe he can rely on more guys coming off the bench if things happen. Because lo and behold, their bench ended up scoring 70 of their 100 points. And it was like we just talked about, because senior starting guard Ryan Dufault found himself in some early foul trouble, which led John Tower to rely more on guards like Ryan Lafferty and Jermaine Coleman, who added 13 and 12 points off the bench respectively. So huge game from the role players. It was a good game to kind of get their spirits back up and everything going for them. So couldn't be more happy for them. They now, will have 2 more games before the end of the calendar year. On the December 20th, on Saturday, they will be going to Bowling Green, Ohio to take on the Bowling Green Falcons. And then they'll take one last trip to close 2024 on Riverside, California to take on UC Riverside for a 4 p.m. game on the 29th. And that is all we have for the men's basketball team. And then for the women's basketball team, they were not in action this past week, but they still have 2 more games, just like the men's team, between now and the end of the month. On Saturday the 20th, they will host the Drake Bulldogs for a 1 p.m. game. And then a week later, on the 28th, they will travel to Ypsilanti, Michigan to close out the 2024 calendar year with a game against Eastern Michigan. So good luck to them in their final 2 games here. And then, all we have left for you guys for college sports is the college football. And I kind of decided, didn't have any questions, but I did have some people reaching out if I was going to be doing bowl games, if I was going to be predicting, doing predictions, kind of bets for college football. And I think some of you guys read my mind. I think what I'm going to do for you guys, we have some college football first round matchups coming up here. So that is what we're going to do. I'm going to tell you who I think is going to win each game. But then on top of that, I'm going to tell you the bet that I actually like in each of those games. So let's just get right into it. So the first game of, the first round is just called the first round. And then next weekend, about a week and a half from this weekend, will be the quarterfinals. Semifinals will be taking place on January 9th and 10th before the national championship is going to be playing on January 20th. So jumping right in, first game of the new college football playoff will be between the number 7 Notre Dame Fighting Irish and the number 10 Indiana Hoosiers. This will be taking place Friday later tonight at 7 p.m. And I'm just going to be completely honest with you guys. If you're a Hoosiers fan, I apologize. I think their Cinderella season is going to come to an end. It was fun to watch, and it was fun while it lasted. But I got Notre Dame moving on to take on Georgia in the All-State Sugar Bowl. I mean, it's pretty simple, this game for me. Notre Dame ranks number 5 in offense and defense coming into this first round matchup. I think you couple that with the fact that Indiana's struggled this year. Like, they have a great record, but if you really look at how they played against some of these better defenses, they just really struggled, kind of keeping points off the board and keeping them out of the end zone. Also, I think Riley Leonard's going to have a big game. I expect him to have a good game through the air and on the ground. Not only do I think Notre Dame's going to win, I think the bet I like for this game is just to take the spread. I think give me Notre Dame -7 in this game. I could see Indiana maybe keeping it close if they can contain Riley Leonard, maybe, an 8, 9, 10 point game. But I would also not be surprised if this was at least at least a 14-point game for the Fighting Irish. As like I said, I just think they're the flat out better team here. And then the second game of the weekend will be on Saturday at 11 a.m. between the host number 6 seed Penn State Nittany Lions taking on the number 11 SMU Mustangs. And I'll be honest with you guys, I think SMU, they're not as good as Oregon, but I think SMU has a very similar offense to Oregon. And truthfully, Penn State just couldn't slow their offense down for the life of them in that Big Ten championship game. Just going to step here because I know this is where we usually put our graphic for our bets and everything like that. Like I said, they really couldn't do much to slow that Ducks offense out in the Big Ten championship. So I think they'll have a big day through the air. I think this SMU team is led by Kevin Jennings, and I do believe he'll have a big day through the air. And I think because of that, they will be able to keep it close. Ultimately, I think Penn State will win this game, as I think they are the better team. I just don't think it'll be by much. So with that, the pick I like for this game is SMU +8.5. Like I said, I think SMU, they deserve to be in the college playoff. They're, the number 11 seed for a reason. Penn State for me is just like the better team. And I wouldn't be surprised if this was for a 6-11 game. I wouldn't be surprised if this was a close 3, 4, 5 point game. So like I said, SMU +8.5 points. Game 3 of the weekend will take place at 3 p.m. between the number 5 Texas Longhorns and the number 12 Clemson Tigers. I think Texas has a really good defense. I know their offense has been struggling as of late, and I know it didn't look like it last week against SMU, but I think Clemson has a sneaky good defense, and their offense struggles ultimately against good teams, in my opinion. So simple kind of one with this one. I like Texas to win this game, but I do believe they are the better team. But I think for me, the bet I like in this game is the under 51.5. Yeah, like I said, I think Texas is once again between the first 3 games. Texas is a better team. They should win this game, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was a low-scoring game. I'm honestly, quite frankly, surprised the line for the over/under is so high. But yeah, I would not be surprised to see this as like a 21-10 or 17-10 game or something like that. So yeah, give me Texas to advance. But like I said, hammer. If I were you guys, hammer that under 51.5 for that Texans Clemson game. And then the last game of the weekend for the first round of the new college football playoffs, we got the Ohio State Buckeyes looking to avenge their loss to Michigan to the number 9 seeded the Tennessee Volunteers. And as back and forth as I went on this one, with this arguably being the best matchup with neither team really having that big of an edge, I ultimately think Tennessee will pull off the slight upset of the Buckeyes. I just don't see this. I just don't see this Ohio State team bouncing back from that loss to Michigan. I think Ryan Day's on his way out there. I think they'll be excited and happy to be where they are, but they're just not going to be as motivated as Tennessee is to advance to take on Oregon. So give me Tennessee +7.5. So wrapping that up, coming the quarterfinals, there will be 2 games on New Year's Day and 2 on New Year's Eve. And I got in the All-State Sugar Bowl, number 2 Georgia hosting Notre Dame. In the Verbo Fiesta Bowl, I got Boise State hosting Penn State. In the New Year's Day Rose Bowl, I got number 1 Oregon hosting a number 9 Tennessee Volunteers. And then in the last game, I got the Arizona State Sun Devils hosting the number 5 Texas Longhorns. So that is what I got for you guys for the college football first round. I'm super excited. I'm super stoked for all the sports around the holidays to kind of get going. So let's see what we got, and can't wait to see how this college football shakes out. And then once again, before we move on to our professional sports, another quick shout out. I know it's a black hoodie. I don't know if you can see another UNRL hoodie. I got my fellow Tommies that may be watching. Go cop this sweatshirt. They originally ran out, and then they made some more for their college collection. It's really cool. Turn around. You can see the Tommies on the back of it. Super sweet, super comfortable, pretty true to size on these, and just like every single one of their sweatshirts, they're so dang comfortable. This one, if I'm being honest with you guys, is a little lighter than some of their other ones. So if you're wanting, and a little thinner, so if you're wanting to put something like wear under something thicker underneath this, I would recommend sizing up. But if you're looking for another kind of cool looking, why can't I speak? Thin hoodie, thin sweatshirt, go get one of these. Obviously, if you're a Tommy alum, go grab it. But in their college collection, they also have, I believe they did Iowa State. They got Minnesota Mankato, Mavericks, Bemidji State, and 2 or 3 others. So go check them all out, UNRL.com. Love this stuff. I think I'm washing them right now. But I have those at UNRL pants that I literally wear to bed. They're so comfy. So go check them out. And yeah, so like I said, go check out UNRL. This hat is not from UNRL. I didn't even get it for myself. It's a St. Thomas hat. I believe my sister got it for me at the Minnesotan. Go check them out as well. They're pretty cool. TheMinnesotan.com. So yeah, two local business shout outs. Love it. So yeah, like I said, we don't have a ton of things to talk about. One of the things I thought I would talk about for this Minnesota team, this Minnesota Wild team, they're doing very well right now. I know we kind of laid an egg last night against the Florida Panthers, and the Florida Panthers are a great team. Losing is never fun, but despite that, and despite being on this 2-game skid for the Wild right now, they still are second in the division with 44 points, third only behind the Jets, third in the Western Conference, only behind the Jets and the Knights. And then in the league, only Jets, Knights, Devils, and Capitals. Devils have more points than us. Washington has the same amount of points as us, but they just have more regulation and overtime wins than we do. That is the only that's the only difference between the two of them. But one of the things, not that it's it's a blessing in disguise, because it's kind of, I shouldn't say blessing in disguise. Our record is kind of masking. Some people are calling it a serious issue. I would just call it, something we need to get better at, and that is our special teams units. We have been these last 2 seasons, this season and last season, specifically, maybe a little bit the season before, very good at 5-on-5 hockey. It comes down to last year, we did not do well. We were not particularly a great power play team, and just like we weren't necessarily a great penalty killing team either. I actually have some stats here. So in the 22-23 season and 21-22 season, the Wild last 2 trips to the playoffs, the team had the worst postseason penalty kill in franchise history with 62.5% and 69.2% respectively. And that awful penalty kill and average power play success have only earned them 4 playoff wins in a 3-year stretch, which, as you can imagine, is not a recipe for success. Now, Jack, why are we getting ahead of ourselves here? I understand the playoffs are still a long way away, but I still think it's important for them to figure this stuff done in the regular season before we get to the playoffs. But even some recent stats right here too. So, despite allowing goals on 30% of their penalty kills, this year's Wild team is winning at an unprecedented rate. Like I said, they still have some of the worst special teams in the league. So, that kind of begs some questions to other people, where should we be legitimate contenders or not? Again, we have the roster. We just need to tighten it up on these special teams. Specifically, in the last 5 games, the Wild have allowed 6 shorthanded and 12 power play goals in their previous 12. For context, they have only led in 22 power play goals in 31 games this season. That's just under a power play goal a game. And if you're playing against a good team and you're losing, 1-0 or 2-1, that one power play goal you're letting up is like the reason you're losing those games. Again, thankfully, the Wild are only on a 2-game skid right now, but thankfully, despite the not great power or special teams, the Wild are doing a good job in this season. We're not even, we're just a little over 30 games into the season. A lot of season to be played, and lots of time for them to get things right. But I think between Hines and these guys, they got to figure out how to play tighter. I think, if I'm being completely honest with you guys, I would prioritize the penalty kill over the power play. The power play, you have the guys, and it's just a matter of getting in there, making good passes, and all that kind of stuff. The penalty kill is something that you just can't. You need to have that. I would almost go. I didn't play high school hockey, but as somebody who loves the game, as somebody who's got the podcast and loves talking about this stuff, I would say, I would go out on a limb and say you need to have a better power play than a penalty, if anything. You have to have a better penalty kill than power play unit, simply because, again, good defense leads into good offense. If your penalty killers go out and kill off 5 penalties in a game, that's going to be confidence boosters going forward that, hey, okay, not every single time are we not going to allow a goal, but they're going to do their hard work, and everybody lets up a goal every once in a while. So I think if we tighten up the penalty kill, there should literally be nothing to worry about for this Wild team. So yeah, I'm excited to see what they can do here. We got a couple, fun games coming up here. Utah later tonight, Friday the 20th at 7. I keep saying that because I'm gonna post this Friday morning. Then on Saturday, we go to Winnipeg. That should be a fun game, a team that we've beaten before and lost, but will be, an important 2 points. And then on the 23rd, we host Chicago before getting a couple of days off for Christmas, and then going to Dallas on the 27th for a game against the Dallas Stars. And then we'll host 2 games against Ottawa and Nashville on the 29th and first. And yeah, that's all we got there. So that leads us into our one question that we had for the podcast tonight, and that is, it came from Duncan Keith. Duncan, I'll post your question down here. Duncan, thank you so much for reaching out on Instagram. Duncan wants to know, Jack, how would you fix the NBA viewership and just as a general? And that is a very, very great question. I'm so glad you asked it, Duncan. I thought of 3 things, but then I was like, well, the first and main one, I don't know how feasible it is. So I'm going to give you guys 4 main things that I believe, if I were Adam Silver, that I would institute, that I think would turn things around immediately. So this is what I got. First, and like I said, this is the one that I'm like, I feel like this is important. I don't know how feasible it is, but the first one is, you have to, very similar to the MLB, you have to simplify how people watch the games. It is ridiculous. There are so many games on FanDuel Sports. As a Minnesota resident and a Timberwolves lover, there are so many games that are blacked out on FanDuel Sports and are on Max, are on TNT, are on NBA Pass, ABC, ESPN2, ESPN. There's just too many avenues. And I understand all these TV deals is a big way for how the NBA makes money. But like, if you can ensure people 90 to 95% of games will be on local television, that'll work wonders. And then again, I don't know how ESPN, ESPN2, ABC are all under the Disney umbrella, but like even if even if you simplify it just a little bit, I think it'll make it a lot easier for people because right now you need 3 or 4, 5 different memberships to watch all these games. Now, some of you may be thinking, well, Jack, so many people, have all these memberships for the NFL. I would say you're right, but I would say the NFL is a little bit different because I think people suck it up a little bit more for the NFL because there are so fewer games in the NFL versus the NBA. So they say, you know what, I'm going to deal with it for the September, October, November, December, January, 5, 6 months, then get rid of it because I want to watch those 17 games. I think if the NFL was like the NBA, where there were so many games, they would probably see some viewership go down too. So that is my one big bugaboo. And maybe very similar to the NFL. Maybe like on a monthly basis, you have, hey, on this date, all 30 teams are going to be playing and everything's going to be on ESPN and it's going to be like, the face off frenzy or stuff like that. Like a couple of things like that here and there I don't think is a terrible idea, but I think simplifying that is going to make it a lot better for everybody. 2, I didn't really know how to word this one, so I'm just going to say everything. I think officiating needs to be better. I think the officiating needs to be better, and kind of with that, I think officiating needs to be better, and I think there needs to be more of these basic things called, like you're lucky if you see 2 travel calls in a game, and guys are doing it all the time. For those that do know basketball, once you give up your pivot foot, you can take 1 step before you have to jump any more than that second step. That takes so many superstars do it, but it is traveling. Or if you're dribbling, you get your gather step, then after that you get 1 more, so technically a second step, and then you have to push off. There needs to be more of that. And I even put down, I said, I'm not against fouls being called, but I think our game has gotten so soft, and I think even a way for this even to become more of a reality is to have more eyes on the game so you can actually make sure what needs to be called is getting called. Right now, ref and crews are only 3 players. Now, I understand the NBA probably doesn't want to spend all this money, but have ref and crews of 5 or 6. Have, a guy on each end, 6, I don't think would be all that bad. You have a guy on each end going like this. Then you have guys between half court, 1 on this side, 1 on this side, and then 2 on this side. That way you're able to see everything. I think allow guys to, hand check. I just think, all these bullshit soft ass calls have gotten so ridiculous. And I think that would definitely help. I think you think back to, the early 2000s. And the reason people loved watching it was because it was good basketball. You were watching good offense every single night, but you were also watching really good defense too. And it made the game more exciting. So those are the first 2. The third one is I think the 3-point line needs to be more of a premium. And I think there's been a lot of talk about the 3-point line because everybody's seen that graphic where in 2004 and 2005, all the shots were within the key pretty much, and then there were sprinkled some around, and then there were most of them here, a bunch of stuff in the mid range, and then just a couple on the 3-point line. Now it's all either by the basket, not even in the key, all by the basket or fluttered on 3-point line. And I think what I would do, what makes sense, these corner threes are way too close. So I would say move the 3-point line a foot back, and with that, have it go out at the benches and eliminate that corner 3. That's what I would do personally. And then the last one that would make this game more fast paced, like the NHL and NFL, two sports people love watching. Time out. Right now, for those that don't know, in the NBA, there are 1 to 2 media timeouts in each quarter. And on top of that, each team is allowed 7 timeouts for the entire game. So just between the 2 teams, that's 14 fucking timeouts. And then 1 to 2 media timeouts per quarter, that's an additional 4 to 8. I'm sorry, but if I'm watching on TV or in person a game, I don't fucking want to see them going to 80 million commercials and shit like that. Again, very similar to the streaming. I understand these sponsors, and part of the reason for these commercials is these people that are getting the commercials, that's how they're getting a lot of their money too. But I think, I mean, shit, 7 timeouts each game. Like, maybe you do, like, somebody that would be saying, well, what would be your recommendation? I would say limit media timeouts to one per quarter, and then each team get rid of the stupid fucking 20-30 second timeouts. Then each team gets 4 full timeouts a game. Now, a lot of people might be saying, what's that? 8. I don't know. I mean, I even think 3 or 4. I just think, this game has gotten so slow and so stagnant that, truthfully, whether you're like, I've been guilty of it before too. Some of these times I'm watching a good game and I'm just like, oh my God, we're going to a commercial like the last 5 minutes in NBA games. And I've heard this from people of my friends that love basketball and people that hate basketball. And they say, I hate watching basketball close games because the last 5 minutes of the game in real time takes fucking 45 minutes. And I get it. Like, I understand these guys are trying to win the game. You're trying to strategize and stuff like that. But again, if you're doing some of these things I've already talked about, you shouldn't need all this much, strategizing stuff late in the game. And maybe that's even part of it too. Maybe you say, maybe you don't take back any of the timeouts, but you say, hey, under 2 minutes in the first half and the second half, each of you guys are only allowed to take 1 timeout. Because how many times do you see them taking 4 or 5 timeouts in the last couple minutes? It's just ridiculous. So for me, those would be the 4 big ones that I would do. I wrote down a couple of the ones that I've heard and I wouldn't mind seeing. So like take this one for example. I do like that a couple years ago they made it that you have to play a certain amount of games for awards. I think that's very smart. Because of that fucking rule, Anthony Edwards got snubbed of Rookie of the Year because Anthony Edwards played all 82 or 81 or 82 games, and he had slightly lower stats than LaMelo Ball, who fucking played 60 games that year because of injuries and shit like that. So Anthony Edwards, my heart breaks for you, my guy. But with that, I also saw something only allowing star players to sit out in home games. I think would be very fun, very interesting. Because to their point, you got guys like LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, James Harden, Russell Westbrook. Some of these guys that are coming to the end of their career, and if your team is in the opposite conference as them, like, you're paying a lot of money to go see those guys play. So for them to be resting, that fucking sucks. So I wouldn't mind seeing that one. I'm a big favor of this, and I kind of stopped talking about it because I just feel like a broken record. I think get rid of the play-in tournament. I think it's the most bullshit thing ever. I like that we did it for COVID because it was nice. It was nice to segue kind of back into the season, getting guys going and everything like that. But fucking get rid of it already. I just think it's stupid. Like, these teams, 5 years ago, these teams that were 7th or 8th in the conference, you didn't have to fucking play a team that was worse than them just to get in and play, not Detroit, play fucking Denver or, Dallas or something like that. Just keep it at 8 teams, or even make fewer playoff teams too. I think that would be an interesting one too, because I think making it that, you make all the regular seasons games more important. Or with that, maybe you don't do that, but you make the season shorter and eliminate back-to-backs. That's what I've heard a lot of players really want. And the last one I said that, like I said, I wouldn't mind seeing, make a hard salary cap. I think I've heard some anonymous people from the league talking about they want more parity around the league, and they want, like, some of these smaller market teams, want to do something. So I think you put this hard cap into place, and all of a sudden you're forfeiting games now if you're not underneath that cap, or until you are underneath that cap. So those are just a couple extra ones that I think would be fun to see. I don't think they're 100% necessary, but it would make for an interesting season to see it happen even once with that. Once again, Thank you for your question, Duncan Keith. Yeah, like I said, appreciate it. Hopefully the Timberwolves can kind of get things going. They're kind of getting their butts kicked right now to the Knicks, but they'll be in action a couple more times this upcoming week. Excuse me, they got the Warriors on Saturday here. They'll be coming to town. So again, Golden State comes here, twice a year. So if you're a big Steph Curry guy, if for some reason you love Draymond Green, and you spend 500, if you and your dad or you and your mom spend $500 on lower level seats to get there early and get signed and stuff like that, if they're not even there or if they're not even playing and you can't see them, like, what a fucking waste of money. That was the reason you wanted to go to the Timberwolves game. Maybe you're not the biggest basketball fan, but you love them for some reason, and it sucks. The 23rd, they'll be in Atlanta to take on Trae Young and those boys. And on Christmas Day, they'll be in Dallas for a Western Conference Finals rematch against Luka Doncic and those assholes. And then 27th, they'll be in Houston. The 29th, they will host the San Antonio Spurs. And then 31st, they will be in Oklahoma City on New Year's Eve for a game against the Thunder. So that's what we have for the Timberwolves. Now getting into that fun Monday night game against the Bears. I'm sure most of you guys saw my TikTok I put out about the Monday night game and how fun Week 15 was. And it was a great week. It's insane that playoffs are pretty much right around the corner, and I can't believe it's already that time of the year. It feels like I said last week and probably 2 weeks ago, it feels like just yesterday we were talking about kicking off the season and preseason predictions and all that shit. So fun game. Would have liked to have seen some better play calling in that third quarter. I mean, we didn't play unbelievable in the first half, but we really kind of turned it on after that interception. We held them to a turnover on downs, went down and got a field goal, and then they had one play. So we kind of had some momentum going into halftime, and you would have loved to have seen the Vikings jumped out to, I don't know, 20-0, 23, 24-0 lead right then and there, but 3-0 punt for the Chicago Bears, 3-0 again punt. Chicago gets a field goal to make it interesting. And then we get a touchdown. So don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining. It just would have been nice to kind of see that happen a little bit sooner. But yeah, like I said, a really good game nonetheless. We're able to win 7 in a row. This team is exceeding expectations. I've been hearing a lot of things circulate about the Vikings with whether they should be a Super Bowl contender or not, if it's going to be a bust if we don't go to the Super Bowl. And I'm just going to come out and say it for you guys. I'm going to be completely honest. I would love nothing more for us to go to the Super Bowl or to win a Super Bowl with the expectations that I had for my Vikings and with the media had for the Vikings. All I need this team to do is finish off strong. We already have a playoff spot clinched. I just need us to make the playoffs, win a game. So worst case scenario, go to LA, go to Seattle, go to Tampa Bay, win a game. And they could lose in the divisional round. It would suck because I'd love to see them in the playoffs. But losing the divisional round, that would be a successful season. And I can hang my hat on that and be happy for that season going into next season. But yeah, fuck yeah. Of course I want to see us in the Super Bowl. I always do. Anyway, yeah, NFL Week 16. We have a very interesting matchup coming up here against the Seattle Seahawks, going to Seattle. This is a team and a location that we haven't been able to win at since 2006. We're currently on a 5-game losing streak in Seattle. But with this line being so close, we're only 2.5 point favorites. I'm going to take the 2.5 points. Guys, I think first and foremost, right now we are playing better football than the Seattle team. They're coming off of a loss to a Green Bay team. They won a couple straight, some close ones, battle tested, but I think we're the better team. We have more talent on both sides of the ball, and I think we're just playing better football right now. But with that, I think with Kenneth Walker being questionable, and he's still questionable, it sounds like it's going to be kind of a questionable game time decision. And if he's out, I think that's going to make this Seattle team a pretty one-dimensional team. So with that, if we're able to get some pressure on Geno with his banged up knee, I think that will help. But I like this spread being so close. I'm going to take it. And I like us winning this one like 31-26, 31-27. And then for the lock of the week, I like the Falcons as 10-point favorites over the New York Giants. And let me be completely honest with you guys. This pick is honestly more indicative of how terrible of a team the Chicago Giants are and how late we are in the season versus how good of a team this Atlanta Falcons team is. Michael Penix is getting his first start this upcoming Sunday. But like I said, since the Giants are, they're the bottom feeders. I think they're already kind of getting excited about being able to pick. If getting that 1 or 2 spot, I think it's ultimately going to come down to them, Vegas, or Carolina. And I think they're starting to get excited to be able to pick between Sanders and Ward. Should the Panthers snatch the one from them, I still think they're going to have that choice because I think the Carolina Panthers are going to still ride with Bryce Young for a little bit longer here, but they're going to be kind of strategic about this. I know the Falcons, and truthfully, I don't think they need to have the world's best game to beat arguably the league's worst team by double digits. So give me the Falcons 33-14 in this one. And then for my upset of the week, I actually like the Dolphins. I didn't write it down. I got to look it up. I like the Dolphins to upset, or not the Dolphins, the 49ers to upset the Dolphins, who are 1.5-point underdogs to the Dolphins. The Dolphins didn't look like they had much life in Houston, and I believe the fight might be limited, as I really think Mike McDaniels is probably going to try to outcoach Kyle Shanahan. I don't think it's going to work, but I think the Niners are grinding away right now with whoever's healthy enough around Brock Purdy, and history's shown me in my research and everything like that this team tends to play pretty well on long road trips. So give me the 49ers in a 24-20 win. That's what I got for Week 16 picks. It's crazy that we only have 2 more before we get to the playoffs here. And then, offensively on the side of the ball for our in-game predictions, I like the duo of JJ and Jordan Addison to keep going. And I think it's going to continue in this game against the Seahawks. So I got both of them catching at least 1 touchdown apiece. And then on the defensive side of the ball, I think Geno is one of the best quarterbacks yardage-wise. So this is very bold, I believe. But I got us holding Geno Smith to under 200 passing yards and no more than 1 passing touchdown. He'll get 1 passing touchdown or less. So with the mentioning of Justin Jefferson catching at least 1 touchdown, want to give a shout out to Molly Cashman for winning last week's first touchdown challenge. Only won 2 guests, Justin Jefferson for the first touchdown challenge. So congratulations, Molly. And with that, the pot starts over this week. And once again, first touchdown challenge. It is the first touchdown you're trying to scoop and score, pick 6, rushing touchdown, receiving touchdown, and who's going to get it between the 2 teams. This week, like I said, it's between the Seahawks and the Vikings. All I got to do is Venmo, my Venmo handle right down here, $5, and in the description where you put pizza for friends or, concert tickets or something like that, put Justin Jefferson receiving touchdown, put Blake Cashman scoop and score, put DK Metcalf receiving touchdown, and if you get it right, you'll win the pot. Or if more than 1 people get it right, you split the pot 2, 3, 4, whatever ways. So, like I said, I will put my link, the profile down here, put some examples around here. But lastly, before we go, it's the holiday season. I hope everybody's been enjoying December, getting ready for the holidays. I want to wish everybody a upcoming Merry Christmas. I hope everybody is staying warm, but there will be no podcast next week on Christmas Day or during the week. Don't worry, for my betting lovers, I haven't decided if I'm going to do a small YouTube thing or on TikTok or on Instagram Reels. But stay alert on that. We'll do picks again next week. So stay alert for that, but no official podcast. And then, but 2 weeks from now, on the 1st of January, we will be back to our usual schedule on Wednesdays for at least a couple weeks. We might go back to doing Thursdays. We might go back to doing Thursdays once the playoffs start. I haven't really decided yet. But stay tuned for all things that. And so, like I said, I hope and pray you all have a blessed Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, whatever you guys celebrate. and a very happy new year. And we will be with you guys on New Year's Day in just under 2 weeks until 2025, Mini.